Introducing the multi-item sorter of Doom. This is it. So, as you can see, it's quite compact left to right. It's using a design I've shown in one of my other channels, so I'm not going to go through a full tutorial. However, it's a multi-item sorter, which means if the item has a existing stack it can go to, it will go to the chest, otherwise it flows through to the next chest. I haven't filled all of these, I've only actually filled to this one here, so that new items will go in here. If you want to know a multi-item sorter, how to build this, please look at my other channel. This is really just to show how compact it can be. So it tiles downwards, so you can make this as tall as you want. It is using modules from my other video. However, I've got them a little bit closer together in this video than I did in the other video, and that's achieved by running all 6 modules off one clock. So each module is 2 blocks wide, and you can tile them side by side so long as they've got a unified clock. So this one's butting up against that one, which is reflected, so they're mirrored as you go across. So 1 module, 2 modules, 3 modules, 4 modules, 5 modules, 6 modules. You can choose to skip any modules you want. Normally in my other video you build them each with their own clock. In this video they're all sharing one clock. So I've got the comparators that detect when there's items in the system all going to a single line here. So that's the item in line going to a single clock, running down a single descending repeater line, going to every single module's layers. So the items will come down a line, out the hoppers, up to the next line, down a line, up to the next line. So they'll fill from this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, and this one. Obviously, with this many items, it's going to be quite slow, so we'll just do lapis and diamond. Once it starts going, you'll see the lights blink. It shouldn't take more than a second. And now, that shows that the system is working. If we can have a look at what's happening, we've got a hopper line coming into this water elevator. Now you don't have to use a water elevator, you can use a drop elevator if you want. I just don't like building drop elevators that tall. Then into this buffer. So this means if you get way too many items, they'll back up here, not anywhere else in the system. Into this dropper. So hopper, and then to the dropper. And this line here, as it's pulsing, makes sure only one item comes out of the dropper at a time, in sync with the delaying signal. So one item comes out, and then a delaying hopper release signal goes down. One item comes out, delaying hopper release signal comes down. As you can see, it's not one item at a time. So those dark lines you can see is the delaying release of the locked hoppers. If we come around back to the front, we should be able to see that some of our lapis is turned up. Because droppers are kind of random, we should also have some of our diamond over here by now. Through that. So there's some more diamond just turned up now. And more lapis. Now with this many chests, it is actually a little slow, because for each item it has to descend all the way down here, then back to through the droppers, back to the elevator, then all the way down, back around, all the way down, back around, all the way down. To be completely fair, this isn't exactly the most practical way of building it. I've really only done this to show how compact you can make this design. To be fair, if you did use a different elevator design, it's actually the elevators that are the limiting factor at the moment, because if you have a look through here, you'll see that these 2 blocks are repeated, because the outside block of that module is actually identical to the outside block of this module. So you could get these one more closer there, one more closer here, and squeeze them up a little bit further than they're squeezed up at the moment. But that would require getting the elevators even closer together, which is possible, but we're already running into problems with the hopper lines down here, as you can see. So this is the hoppers required to take the items from these two descending hopper lines here to those pipes correctly, because you've got to sort of come over one at the same time. Personally, I'm probably never going to build it like that. I will probably build one of these double modules with its own clock, one of these double modules with its own clock, one of these double modules with its own clock. And I probably wouldn't go that tall. So the lights stop blinking, so that means everything should be through by now. So we have this full stack of lappers here, and we also have one lappers here because there was no more room in the chest, so we're through to the next one. I must have excluded a diamond, I guess. Let's just check. And yeah, so the whole thing's on a 5-tick delay, so even if your server's a little bit laggy, there should be more than enough time for the feed hoppers to feed into the chests, so a little bit of lag shouldn't hurt it. Each 2 layers down is identical, however you don't even need both layers, you can actually just have layer 1 or layer 2, you just need the different layers to get them to fit on top of each other. But you could do one more chest down if you want, so really your choices are the 2 across, as many chests as you want down, basically however you want your chests. If you do take a more widened approach, you can have the chest sort of like this instead. But yeah, that's it. So in terms of resources, most of the most expensive stuff is running from the front to the back. There may, I'm not even going to say may, there's almost certainly a better way of doing this. But in terms of the actual modules, so a module is literally this set of 4 blocks here. So we've got a redstone signal to take across from the clock, a repeater into a block, 2 repeaters into a block here. That's because we want a delay between this hopper and this hopper equal to whatever the descending clock is. So this is at 1 tick, this is at 6 ticks. So this one is 5 ticks behind this one, and 5 ticks is what the clock's set at. And what you can see on the screen at the moment is basically the entire module for the lock and feed hoppers. That basically just descends and tiles however much you want. This is the clock. Again, the clock can tile down as far as you want. It doesn't take up a lot of room. Generally, you'd put it behind this design if you're going to have each system have its own clock, because for each clock you need a drop system, and like each set of modules needs at least 1 clock and at least 1 descending line. But it doesn't need its own. It can share it so long as it's synced. So as you can see, the activation line is shared. So the clock is shared. So this is a clock on a 5-tick pulse. The activation for the droppers is shared. And the activation for the various clock lines is shared. But it doesn't have to be. You can instead use this design over here, where the clock sits above the descending line, which sits behind the hopper feed. So yeah, if you want a robust, multiplayer server capable, almost, well, ridiculously tileable, because quite frankly, in this design you can only go 3 across so it shares 1 clock, but if you're willing to have a gap between them, you can actually tile it infinitely this way and infinitely this way. There is no limit to the size you can make this. Or the design, if you want 2 chests high but a long way that way, that's fine. If you want lots of chests high but not many that way, that's fine, and quite frankly probably easier. Biggest challenge, like I said, is taking it from the hopper line here to the next hopper line. When you have them squeezed together like this, there's just simply no room for the elevators to fit between the modules, so the line has to come all the way up to the back. If you have the space, I would very much recommend running the elevators up between the modules, because then you can just feed across and up, across and up, across and up, across and up. But the purpose of this video isn't to show you how to build it. That's my other video. The purpose of this video is to show exactly how tileable the design actually is.